Okay, so I'm just going to show you now some examples of the final finishing touches I would put on a score. Obviously, I'm not being too elaborate, not going through the whole score because that would take hours, but definitely looking at this first page, we need to relabel some things, and I'd love to show you how to add in some dynamics and expressive techniques, different things like that. So let's start with a title. So we want text. Actually, not over there. For some reason, there's another text thing here which is more relevant for what we want. So I'm going to call this Shape of Pop Remix, just because it's a slightly different version of my original composition. And now I want to add a subtitle, actually a composer. So my name is Rachel Hennessy, and I might put the year 2019, and that's that. Now we can, I believe, have that showing over here, but usually it's good to just have a title page. I'm now going to show you, here, let's see if we can pop it up here. I'm going to go title again, see how that goes. No, that's not what we want. Anyway, we'll come back to that. But now to rename these instruments, you can see where they've come in, they've imported as what we labeled them in our DAW. But to rename it, we want to right-click the stave and go Stave Part Properties. So the sounding instrument is a piano. That's fine. I don't really mind because I'm not using this as my recording. And the piano is actually really helpful. It's a really clear sound. But the part name, this is my vocal melody. So I'm just going to go voice and then in brackets melody, and that's what it's going to come up as on the first page. So I want that to be the long instrument name as well, but the short instrument name, it can be voice V1 or voice 1. What did I have before? Voice 1. There we go. And that will show up a lot better. So let's apply that. And now you can see much cleaner. So now I believe if I click this button here, it's gone to the next instrument. So now we've got voice, and I'm going to call this voice harmony. All right, same thing. VO2. Okay, that's what it's defaulted to, so I'm going to change the other one to VO2 as well. All right. Oh, that's gone now. And then we've got apply. So it's cleaning itself up. So now my hook, I'm actually doing it on an organ. So I'm going to call this just organ. It's like a jazz organ, but you don't even really need to specify. Maybe I will specify, but there we go. So we'll change that up. And again. So I might just call it j.org. Well, sounds like a website. So we've got, and I might even see if there is a sound that we could have. So we'll go to keyboards, we'll go organ. We don't want pipe organ, so hopefully this will sound a bit different. So we've got jazz organ again, and then org. All right. So apply. It's all coming together. Quickly do it for everything else. So again, another organ. So we'll call this organ 2. Cool. Apply. Next one. We'll call it a vibraphone. Maybe we can change the instrument so that we actually have pitched percussion, and there we go, vibraphone. Done. And we don't need to label it as counter melody, etc. We just want everyone to know their parts. So vibraphone, vibraphone, bib. Apply. Beautiful. Next one is bass. They're all going to be, you don't even need to specify if it's electric or synthetic because whoever's performing it can decide, but you might want to be very specific. But I'm going to call it bass 1 and then bass. Okay. And I can definitely change that instrument. So we've got strings plucked. I'm going to say electric bass. Okay. Perfect. And we go apply. Now that bass originally, yeah, so it was in treble, but now when I apply it, that might change, which is kind of what we want, but it's quite high. So we'll fix that up in a minute. All right, next instrument. We've got another bass. So bass 2, same thing. And just BS2, change instrument, strings, bass guitar. Okay. BJIT2, that's what I'm going to call it. Okay. I'm gonna save that for the next one as well. Go back and I'll change that. Bass, guitar, 1. This one is. Alright. Apply. So we're really coming together now. It's looking much, much cleaner. Cabasa hand clap we're happy with. That's fine, that's fine. So drum set, that's fine. We might call it drum set 1 or drum kit, I prefer. Drum kit 1. And then we'll say 1. Alright. So all sort of coming together. Oh, I exited too quickly. So many tracks. So okay, so I'm going to change this instrument because it is actually a guitar. So we've got strings, plucked, acoustic. Oh, it's an electric guitar. And we go, okay. And so now its stave has probably fixed itself up as well. Once we apply it, I'm going to call it E-guitar 1. Electric guitar 1. Okay. Apply. Now that is much, much nicer. You can see it fixing on the side here. Alright, next one. We've got saxophone. It's an alto saxophone. Alright. So we're going to change that instrument. Got woodwind, alto saxophone. So our playback should be somewhat okay. And so it has changed our key signature, and that's because alto saxophone is a transposing instrument. So though it's in the right key, and it sounds fine in the recording, what the instrumentalist thinks, what notes they think they're playing is different to the notes that are actually sounding. But saxophonists and lots of other instrumentalists are used to that. It's just part of their instrument. So that's done. Oh, let's just double check this. So I think I mislabeled one of my instruments, and yes, this next one we've labeled it saxophone, but it's another guitar line. So we'll continue with that. So this is also electric guitar. So we'll just change the instrument first and see what that does. So strings, electric guitar. We don't want to use tab, not this time anyway. So just because we're trying to follow traditional notation, so we will do that to the best of our ability. So apply, and then we've got electric guitar too. So we'll change this order later because we want all the guitars together. All right, next one, we've got another electric guitar. You might look at your different lines again in your composition and decide to combine them. So there's not 3 electric guitars, there's not 3 drum sets like me, but that happens when you compose indoors. You just add more and more tracks to be what you want it to sound like. And we have to make the score as accurate as we can. We're doing okay here. So electric guitar 3, electric guitar 3, electric guitar 3. All right, apply. Okie dokie. We're getting there. All right, I'm just going to go okay. I think you've seen enough. I think that's all of them anyway. But now we're running out of room on our page. So first things first, this boy here is taking up a lot of space. So I'm going to select all of it and bring it all down. But I think I am using the high register of the bass in this piece, but instead of having all of these what's called ledges, apply a symbol that tells them to play an octave higher or 2 octaves higher in this instance. So almost there. That's the whole thing. All right. So now what I'm going to do to get it to go an octave or 2 lower, you just watch here. I'm going to press Command or Control if you're on Windows and the down arrow, and that will go down an octave. And one more, that's gone down 2 octaves. But we still want it to sound quite high. We want them to use the high register of the bass. So now what I'm going to do is lines over here. And these lines here indicate when to play an octave higher and octave lower. So we want them to play 2 octaves higher. So I'm going to go like this one. So this means to play 2 octaves lower. This one means to play 2 octaves higher. Yeah. So click that, and it's going to, if I double click, apply to the whole highlighted section, which is what we want. So another alternative to what I just did, which I'm not going to do because it's lesser known and not seen as often, but I could change the clef to a higher clef. So you could go bass, but call it 15 higher. Yeah, but that's lesser seen than this notation here. So there you go. Sometimes these will come up as if they can't be used, but I don't think that's true in this case, but that's something that you should check, is that the instrument that you're looking for can actually be played on the instrument. So now we're looking a little bit more like we can fit on the page, but now a final little thing I'm going to do is look at our formatting. So we want to go Format, Page Settings, so now page size is fine. You can turn it into landscape, but the stave space is what we can actually alter, right? So making it a bit smaller, and you can kind of see how it's fitting. So now that's a bit better. That's hard. That's a bit better, and that ends up with our title and our composer on the front page as well, that was what the issue was before. So we're going to go OK, and that's, look, we're already getting there. So we've got our full names on the first page and our shortened names after that. We've got our tempo marking, we've got our title and our composer, etc. Looking good. Another thing that you could look into doing, but I'm not going to show you today, is you could have the staves that are empty, you could have a setting where empty staves aren't shown, and then once, say, the melody comes in, you can see on that page that, oh wow, there's a melody line now, but up until that point there wasn't one. Just to make it look a bit cleaner, but I'm in favor of keeping it all there so that you know right at the beginning all of the instruments that are in play. So that's just some formatting things. You might also want to add some text, like, say for the guitar. Let's indicate that. So let's go find our slash notation that we created before. So just here, this is what we've got. I want to indicate that these slashes, whilst we've got the rhythm, I want them to know that it's a down-up pattern. So I've selected that first note. I'm going to go text, and I'm going to go stave text. Double click that, and it then gives me the option to write some little, I would call this performance indication. So I'm going to say down, up, strum, throughout. And that's all you need. And that should be quite clear that whenever they see this, they should continue. So little things like that. You just want to make your whole score as clear as possible. Another thing was on this line, for whatever reason, we've got some random clefs happening, such as here. So I'm just going to delete that and delete, and it just fixes itself up. Yeah. So why it's different when it was fine over here is beyond me, but you've just got to watch out for these things. Now I could just copy and paste because I think it's quite repetitive, but things like that. You want to check all of your staves. So voice generally uses treble clefs. The organ lines that I've used, usually any piano instrument would have a treble clef and a bass clef, but I've only really used like a few notes, so I'm just going to keep it as the treble clef here. Who knows, maybe I could give one of the bass guitar lines, such as this one, instead to the organ, but I know that on my recording it's using a regular bass guitar instrument. So anyway, so that's all correct. Vibraphone, happy to use treble. And we've got bass, and then any percussion has this percussion stuff here because we don't actually have pitch associated. Sometimes you can get pitch percussion, such as vibraphone, and in that case it uses a pitched clef. And then we've got guitar, saxophone, guitar. So we want to move the saxophone. It's more a melodic situation, so I want it to come up next to our different hooks and things that are happening. So I'm going to change that order, but first I'm going to fix these clefs. So electric guitar, I don't want it to be what's called a lower or a tenor clef. It's not necessarily a tenor clef, but it's saying to go an octave lower, whatever's written. I want it to just be regular. So I'm going to change that, double click, and then we're fine. Same thing here, double click, and it applies it to the whole score, and you can go in and change it in specific spots if you want. But let's address this alto saxophone situation. So we want to go to instruments, so you can just press I on your keyboard. And now saxophone right here is in a weird position. So I'm going to click it and then move up, and I want it to be just next to my vibraphone, or I might even put it a bit higher. So after the organs. We go OK, and now it's changed positions, and I think it's in a much nicer spot where it belongs. But if you Google it, there are conventions and rules as to what instruments go in what order. Often I'll put my drum tracks actually at the bottom. Actually, I might do that right now. So I'm going to move my guitars up. Let's see if I can highlight them. Probably not. No. So you got to do it one by one, unfortunately. So I'm going to move my guitars up above my percussion. Again, guitars up, guitar 2, electric guitar 3. There we go, okay. Now it's just all looking a bit cleaner, so we know we've got percussion at the bottom, we've got our stringed instruments here, and then we've got our melodic instruments here. And it's good to put voice at the top. Oops, sorry about that truck. This truck's driving past. So those are simple formatting things. Now I'm just going to show you some articulation and common phrasing that we might do, articulation and dynamics. So to begin with, our hook here is going to be quite loud. So if you're not sure what different dynamics are, that's something that you need to look at. I don't have time to explain to you, but basically F means loud, P means soft. So I want my hook to start quite loud. So we just put that in there. So whoever's playing the organ knows to play it loud. Same thing at the bass. We want that to be quite loud. So really, a good thing to do is definitely to begin with, give every instrument at the beginning of their music. So say when the electric guitar comes in here, give them an indication of their dynamic level, of their volume level, because otherwise they're just gonna guess. So my electric guitar here, I know, and don't mind, this doesn't have slash notation yet, I haven't done that, but I'm going to say quite soft, so PP, but then I want it to build gradually over time. So I could either do that with like a hairpin, so if we go to lines here, I can do it with a hairpin one, which is really clear, but I could also kind of just leave it up to them. So I'm going to, from here, highlight for a couple of bars, to gradually crescendo is what it's called, which means to increase the volume. So double click that and we're going to start crescendoing here. So just clear dynamic indications like that. You want to give every instrument's entry a dynamic indication. Now something else might be that things like staccato and accents, that kind of thing. I will actually put some on this hook here. So we've got da 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 da. We just play that. So you can hear that the organ it doesn't sound like our recording. And it's not necessarily always going to do that, but we want to make it pop a little bit more. It is a pop song after all. So I'm going to go da 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 and put a staccato on that fourth note. So we want to go to articulations, put a little staccato. Double click, da 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 dun dun. Same thing there. Ba da ba dum. Staccato again. Dum. All of them. So you could highlight and do multiple at once. Double click. So now if we listen to it again, hopefully it sounds different. Dum, 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 dum. Much better. So I might just copy and paste that, but it's a 4-bar hook. Ba-da-ba-dum. So I'll do that and then copy paste it. There we go. So yeah, now what I would do is just copy paste all of that, but you get the point. So we've done some staccatos, we've done some just different formatting things, we've done some dynamics. For phrasing, let's say I want my bass guitar line here. And look, this is quite high as well. I'm going to bring that down. Again, down. Dun, 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 dun. Let's just play that. So maybe I want this to be nice and smooth every 3 notes. So what I would do is highlight those 3 notes and do what I would call a phrase. Now this rhythm isn't what I want it to be. I want it to be a crotchet. We don't need that, it's not necessary. But that's just overhang of a really sensitive MIDI instrument. So now what I want to do is add a phrase. So let's have a look. Might be, it's probably in lines. Yeah. So a nice big slur. So a slur is different to a tie. A slur is an arrhythmic thing. It's helping to tie some notes together that we want to be. Oh, and there's a staccato there that I do not want. So this means that these three will be played smoothly as kind of a group, almost like these are words and this is forming a sentence. So you could even have a long phrase, which I might actually do. Dun, 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 dun. You know? So from here to here, I want that to be one phrase. So a highlight and then double click the slur. Different things like that. So just marking up your score with really specific indications of what you want, but don't go over the top either, because then you can start to remove some of the freedom of your musicians. So those are some simple things. Yeah, speak to your teacher. Lots and lots of Googling. Use the MuseScore tutorials. And don't be afraid to find some scores that are really similar to the style of music that you're composing in and see how they've done it. And music is all about not necessarily copying, but learning from each other, because it's very hard to come up with truly, truly original ideas and content, but it means that we can learn from the professionals. So use the resources on the website, and good luck. Good luck with coming up with this beautiful, beautiful score and composition that you've been working so, so hard on. And hopefully you can see that notation doesn't have to be a hindrance. It can be a tool. It's a bit finicky, but MIDI is your best friend and can change definitely the time that it takes to build a score. It's done most of the work for you. You just have to clean it up. So good luck and thank you.